In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Most Merciful, peace be with you, our dear viewers, and welcome back again in this new meeting of this program, Rites of Sacrifice. That's program organized under the auspices of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Ministry of Islamic Affairs. So welcome back again, and thank you for your interaction with us within this program. And I welcome through this program, I welcome our guest, Dr. Khaalid المصلح, the member of the Raising Awareness Committee during the pilgrimage season. Welcome our dear viewers, and I hope that you are doing fine, and I hope also that you will take advantage of this program and that you will take all the benefits of it. And to the bottom of the screen you will see the contact details of these programs, and we are always pleased and happy for your communication and interaction with us through those contact details. And we welcome your questions also through social media like Twitter, and all those details are appearing at the bottom of the screen. In this program we talk about an important subject, which is the subject of the days of pilgrimage, those great days of pilgrimage, beneficial days. We are going to talk and and also to answer your questions about those days and the mistakes that are commonly taken and how you can correct and prevent those mistakes. And we are always happy to receive your contacts, your phone calls about these programs. And we talk about the Tarwiyah Day, this watering day, so stay with us. Welcome again our dear viewers, and welcome to our guest Dr. Khalid. We start this episode with a definition, simple definition concerning the days of pilgrimage. Then after that we go into the subject, the core of the subject. Peace be upon Muhammad, and peace be on his companions, also the members, the people of the house. My dear viewers, I ask Almighty Allah that He will assist you and guide you. And concerning the days of pilgrimage, those days are part of the months of pilgrimage, which were prescribed, mentioned in the prescriptions, and there must be no deviations, no wrongdoings, no sexual relations in the days of pilgrimage. And pilgrimage is within a specified time, a period of time, under those conditions, the conditions of those months, those appointed months, Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, and the month of Dhul Hijjah. So those are the known months of pilgrimage. So those are the months of pilgrimage, and there are no arguments about those months. And the days of pilgrimage are the days of the manasik, of the rites of sacrifice. And it comprises the pilgrimage and the ihram, whether ihram with tamattu', qiran or ifrad, the different types of ihram. But the deeds during pilgrimage will be during the days of pilgrimage, and these are 6 days of pilgrimage. The first day is the Tarwiyah Day, watering day, and this is the day 8 of the Hajj, day 8. And the last day of the year, of the lunar year. Then after that, day of Arafah, second day, which is the day 9. Then day Uhud, which is the third day of pilgrimage, the slaughtering day, the day of Eid, and the day 4 is the 11th day of the Hajj, then the day 12 of the Hajj, then the day 13 of the Hajj. So those are the 6 days of the pilgrimage days. And the pilgrimage, it's not that long period, it's not that long extended period. Allah has mentioned, Almighty Allah, that Allah must be remembered on those days, countable days, and which are a few days. We need to know those 6 days, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th. So those are the days of pilgrimage, and they have names. Those days, there are assigned names from the occasions, and also linked to the deeds that need to be done according to those days. So there's the watering day, Tarwiyah day, because people, old people, ancient people, they were watering from Mina, from Mecca, because it was like a valley without plants, a dry valley, and they were doing watering in those days. So the names, there are assigned names linked to occasions, to certain deeds and doings that are linked to the names of those days. And there's also the slaughtering day, which is linked to the sacrifice of Ibrahim, known the vision of Ibrahim, slaughtering his son, and then with the mercy of Allah, the son has been replaced with an animal, to sacrifice an animal. So also this is the day of the vision, visions Ibrahim, also the vision that Adam and Hawa, peace be upon him. It is a day also where Ibrahim also has been assigned with that reasoning and gift to help him to do the good deeds. So the day, the closest day to the watering day is the day people they do the watering, they drink water, they depending on their needs, on their requirements on that day. So people, they receive water. Nowadays there are networks of waters, they do not need to transport water as in the ancient times, but because there are networks, and so people, it's easy to access water nowadays comparing to the old days. So what's meant? So this is the reason of the name, watering day. So what's being done in this day is the ihram with hajj, pilgrimage, for those who has already entered the tahallul, and following the steps of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his companions and the people of the house. So people who entered into Mecca in the morning of the day 4 of the Hajj, then the Prophet, peace be upon him, has ordered his companions who didn't come for the Hajj with him to do tahallul and to do Umrah. So people who do tahallul can do so. Then after that, after the circumambulation and after doing the sa'i 7 times between the Safa and Marwa, 7 times, they start with Safa and end with Marwa. So there is a return trip between both. Afterwards they cut the hair and shorten their hair, either cutting or shortening, and they do tahallul, and which will allow him to do what he wants to do after his Umrah. Then the companions stayed until the day 8 of the Hajj. Then the Prophet, peace be upon him, ordered them to do ihram on the day 8, then praying Dhuhr at Mina. So people has done ihram in their homes and close to the cemetery of Mi'la, so which is at the altitude of Mecca and far away from the Bayt al-Haram at the time. Then the Prophet, peace be upon him, has ordered his companions to go to Mina. So they, without going to Miqat, without doing ihram for him, but from their homes, they do ihram from their homes. And for those who want to do a pilgrimage in Mecca, to do ihram from their homes, from their places, without going to an ihram place, whether for Hil or whether for Haram, in the Mosque of Al-Haram, or without going to the Miqat, the appointed locations. So they do ihram from their locations, from their homes, directly from their residences, and they go to Mina. for the noon prayer in Mina. So they pray in group, and the day number 8, on the day number 8, they pray noon, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and they pass the night in that place in Mina. Then they pray Fajr in the same place. So this is concerning the day of Tarwiyah, the watering day. The prayer is as usual. It will be performed as usual, and those who travel will can shorten their prayer. Then they complete. And anyway, shortening in Mina, or it's for those who travel, not for the rites of sacrifice, not for the manasik. So they shorten. Those who travel, they shorten their prayer. They pray the prayers in their times, as the Prophet was doing, peace be upon him. And so this is the sunnah coming to Mina. And those who arrive to Mina on the day number 8, and they pray the 5 prayers, Noon, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and Fajr. So this is a sunnah, it is not an obligation, so it will not impact the health, the pilgrimage health itself, the status of the pilgrimage, and this is. So coming to Mina, with the crowds, with those crowds, big crowds of pilgrims, and also the space, the scarcity, and this space between 2 mountains, and the borders are narrow, and as you know, so crowds gathering in this space in Mina at this time, probably it's not easy, it's not an easy thing for every pilgrim. And so there are campaigns, there are campaign places, designated places. So it's a sunnah also, it's a sunnah to gather in those places and to follow the steps of the Prophet, peace be upon him. They can follow the sunnah in the place, in a status of ihram, and coming to Al-Haram, to Mina, sorry. And they come to Mina on the day number 8. So this is concerning those who have a place. But those who do not have places, except some quarters districts in Mecca, so those people, if they missed the possibility to come to Mina because of lack of places, they can follow the sunnah in that case, and they enter into ihram and they pray noon while being in the ihram state. So they need to preserve this state before the noon of the day 8. Then they pray noon, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, Fajr in their places, if they do not have places, allocated places. So going to Arafah on the day 8, some people can do it, others they do it directly without passing through Mina. So they go to Arafah on the day 9. So it is not, they should not worry about this. To accompany the campaign and the group, to stay in the group. So those who need to do this, to go to Arafah directly, it is not a problem, it is not an issue. They should not worry about this, either in the morning or on the Asr or at night. So it is, they should not worry about this. And those who advance, who approach Arafah before day of Arafah, so those who go to Arafah, they ask for the benefits of Arafah, to worship, and some scholars also have encouraged this. And going to Arafah is on the day of Arafah, as we are going to mention this a bit later. So arriving in Mina and performing the prayers is a preparation. You prepare yourself. So you prepare. If you are prepared, you feel ready. So it will be easier for the following steps. The great day of pilgrimage, which is the greatest day of pilgrimage, and which is the greatest pillar of pilgrimage, which is because you prepare yourself for it, you So the believer, when he arrives in his ihram on the day 8 and the prayers in Mina, is part of this preparation for the greatest day of pilgrimage. And we find this in the Sharia in different places, different prescriptions we find it. And because it prepares your heart, it prepares your spirit for the greatest day, and as it is in the case of prayer. So, for instance, when there is the call for the prayer, so this will prepare you for the prayer itself. So it's a similar state somehow. And also the fasting before Ramadan, it will prepare you for the fasting days of Ramadan itself. So you can find so many similar cases that prepare the spirit and prepare your heart for this greatest day of worship. And so you will feel ready, you will feel well prepared to receive this greatest day, to welcome this greatest day of pilgrimage. Is there any specific deeds that needs to be done in that day? There's not something specific except ihram and arriving in Mina, of course, and passing the night in Mina. What's meant? So during this staying residence in Mina is to remember Allah, to mention Allah, and also to witness those benefits. And those are specific few days of pilgrimage, and this is one of the days of known days of pilgrimage. And so you are going to remember Allah, Almighty Allah, and to mention. And those are one of the best days of times, all times. And those were prescribed in so many sections and so many, because those are days of obedience, those are days of worship, those are days of mentioning Almighty Allah and to worship. So those are part of this expression of obedience, which will increase your belief or increase the power of your belief. And so there is not something specific to do except arriving in Mina. There is no specific place in Mina, but just staying in Mina, preparing yourself to welcome that greatest day by obeying, by worshipping, and asking Almighty Allah for guidance and assistance. So this is what is meant by this day, and by staying in Mina in this great day of Tarwiyah. And after that, the pilgrim will go to the day of Arafah, this great day of Arafah that we are going to detail this day after this short break. Our dear viewers, stay with us after this short break. We are going to talk about the day of Arafah.
Welcome back, dear viewers, again. And after this report, this article about the day of Arafah, I go back to our guest, Dr. Khalid bin Muslah. We watched this report from Arafah, and we're talking about the deeds of the pilgrims during this day, the day of Arafah. The day of Arafah is a great day, is one of the best days during the year, and the rewards for the rewards are great, even for the pilgrims and for all the believers. And to know more about the rewards and everything, so we need to stay aside of a certain act that we need to know more about the best and the great deeds, and they are the best days. One of the best days, the great days, and regarding, and of course comparing with the other days of the year. And also we have during these days God accomplished the religion, because the religion by Umar ibn al-Khattab saying that there was a surah to the Muslims, and also for them, for the Jewish, for them it's a celebration. And the Prophet said also, there was also saying by God, today I accomplished the religion and the Islam, and I accepted the Islam for you as a religion. And the Prophet said that when this surah was also sent to the Prophet, is the day of Arafah, and in Arafah. This is the day where when God sent his first surah to our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, enlighten and guide the humanity, also guide the humans and also all the believers today. This day today is, this is during this day God removes all the mistakes and avoid them the hellfire. And Aisha mentioned, as the Prophet peace be upon him said, that what is the best day, and this is the day which God saved the humans from the hellfire. And this is specifically in these days. It's not only for the pilgrims, for all the humanity, for all the believers. We're talking about the believers, the Muslims here. Even here, when the Muslims, they're very happy during the Ramadan nights, because during those nights they are saved from the hellfire, and because also they seek forgiveness also from God. And for the day of Arafah, there is no similar days like the day of Arafah. And the Prophet peace be upon him has said that there is no other day similar, because in this day God also saved his believers and the Muslims from the hellfire. And we ask God also to save us from the hellfire too, and to save you also from the hellfire. And we wish to be the winners during these days. For the pilgrims, they have a portion from this day. They have a part. They are in the highest rank, in the highest position. And it's a state of really a great state for the humans while standing in Arafat. As the pilgrims, I'm talking about the pilgrims, those standing in Arafat. So merciful, they seek merciful, they seek also many things. So they need to feel it, they need to feel it, and they need to feel this also rewards from God. So because God is approaching also is the humans, the creatures, humans, believers, Muslims, and ask also what do they really need, those humans and those creatures. So they are seeking forgiveness, they are seeking everything, they are seeking the will, they are seeking many things at the same time. It's an invocations, it's an announcement also from God. This is an announcement and also a statement from God telling them that you need these days to increase the worship, to increase the invocations, and to give them and to answer their question and to respond to their needs also. So all what they need, so they will receive it, they will got it from God, and this is the most important, and they will go back with all what they need during this day, because it's a day of the rewards. And also we have other things like characteristics of these days, and is not similar like the other days, is the day where God, he also asked all the humans to fast during that day, not only during the pilgrimage season, or those who are performing pilgrimage, but those, there was a saying from Abi Qatada saying that the Prophet, peace be upon him, he said that will be also forgiven this year to all the past years also. God will forgive us, will forgive all our mistakes and everything, specifically during the day of Arafah. And there is also, during this day, there is also one of the great pillars of the pilgrimage. And like the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, regarding and according to Ibn Umar, is saying that the pilgrimage is Arafah. Those who get to Arafah, this is their pilgrimage. This is the validation of the pilgrimage. Those characteristics will show us the great day of Arafah, not only for the pilgrims and the other believers who didn't come to the shrines of Mecca and to this location. And that's why. And here gonna repeat the names of the Lord, and to always remember that that's the Lord who's gonna also respond to our needs, to our invocations and everything. He will respond to our call for the prayer. And also we have characteristics, advantages, disadvantages, and all the Muslims have these points in common between them during the day of Arafah. And this is what was said by Umar, and saying that the day of Arafah, the day of Nahr, the sacrifice, this is our feast for us, the Muslims, the believers. And during these days we obey to God, and we are approaching God during these days. And this for the Muslims and all the Muslims specifically, this is an opportunity that they need to seize it also to approach God, like I said. So during these days also, on this day for the pilgrims, they have a certain good deeds, like what was said by our Imam, our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, so he overnight in Mina for the 8th day of the Hajj, during the sunrise, before the sunrise, he went from Mina to Arafah, and he walked with his companions, those companions, the believers, and those they were calling God and making the talbiyah during the road to Arafat, and keep saying that, oh God, there is only one God, and there is no associated to God, and God is great, God is great. And after that they went to Arafah. And after that, when they left the Mina, they left Mina to Arafah, and they started making the invocations, the dua and the talbiyah, and they reached Namira. Namira, it's a small village, very down the hill, down Arafah. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, get to Namira before noon. Before noon, they get to Namira, the mosque of Namira, just to have a short break. And after that, for a short break, they went to Namira. And after that afternoon, the Prophet left Namira to, and you know that there was, and now we can see the mosque now these days. And here in Namira, he started making the khutbah. If you allow me, Sheikh, we have to take this phone call from Muhammad from Algeria.
محمد معنا.
محمد from Algeria.
السلام عليكم يا شيخ.
السلام عليكم. وعليكم السلام.
الشيخ معك تفضلي.
لدي السؤال.
I have a question, Sheikh, regarding those performing the pilgrimage tamattu. Does he need to sacrifice between both pilgrimage? Abdul Wahid from Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum. If you allow me, Sheikh Khalid, we love you, Sheikh Khalid. My sisters and her daughters, they went to Jeddah. She saw that there was many traffic also in Mecca, so she performed to make the Umrah, and she avoided to perform the Umrah, or probably she went back because she couldn't make it because of the traffic there, so that's why she left. Is it permissible or not? We have Khalid with us from Algeria. Assalamu alaikum.
تفضل الشيخ معك تفضل.
The Sheikh is with you. Just two questions for the Sheikh. The first question: is it an obligatory to overnight in Muzdalifah?
طيب. والسؤال الثاني.
What is the second question? The sayings of the muhrim. So specifically when he starts the rituals of the pilgrimage.
طيب.
invocations. Thank you, Khalid. Thank you very much.
معنا أحمد من كينيا.
We have Ahmed from Kenya.
عليكم
السلام عليكم.
ورحمة الله.
Thank you very much for these episodes and for this program. And may God reward you for these recommendations and for these advices. My first question is, I want to know more about the possibility. So if there is a possibility to not put the khimar, because I don't want to cover my eyes, I want to look through the khimar to look. The question wasn't clear. The question wasn't clear. Are you asking about the khimar? How to make the khimar? She wants to cover, so just to cover my face with the khimar. My second question. We want, for example, another program for the prayers, like rituals, like your episode, your program, rituals. Yeah, for my colleagues, they're saying that this program will be also during the pilgrimage season. Thank you very much, Muhammad from Kenya. We have Sajjad from Iraq. Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing? How are you doing, Sheikh Khalid? You're welcome. I love you. I love you a lot, Sheikh. I have 4 questions. Is there any saying from the Prophet, peace Muhammad, from our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, for those who are praying in Qiba, the mosque of Qiba? And I'm talking also about the prayer of the Maghrib, if we can read the Zulf and Al-Qari'ah. And after the first inclination or bow, where do we need to put our hands? Or to raise them where exactly? The 4th question. Saying about the surah is لا يأخذ الله حساب إلا بالقوة. This is my last question. That's it. Thank you. So, saying that the Prophet has a dress reaching only the half of his legs. Is that right or not? We have Saifuddin from Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum. What's your question, Saifuddin? According to the pilgrims from inside the Saudi Arabia, so the campaign started in a miqat, but for a certain delay, because they went directly to Mina, because they didn't go to a miqat. So they went to Mina. So they went directly to Mina. There was the intention of starting the pilgrimage season, but they went directly to Mina. And he was performing mutamattu'. Did he have the intention to perform the tamattu' or ifrad? What is your second question? For my second question, regarding the pilgrimage and the sacrifice, the pilgrim. So, the pilgrim can sacrifice a sheep the same time. Thank you very much, Saifuddin from Saudi Arabia. Good. Aisha from Libya. We lost the call. So, dear viewers, a short break and then we continue our discussion with our guest.
Welcome back again, our dear viewers, in this episode designated to the days of pilgrimage and the doing of pilgrimage, the day of Tarwiyah and the day of Muzdalifah, as well as the day of Arafah. If you permit me, our dear viewers, I will take a number of phone calls. I have Saad from Lebanon. Peace be with you. I have a short question, if you permit me. What's the difference between the rites and the manasik, the sha'air and the manasik of pilgrimage? Thank you, Saad. Aisha from Libya now.
Aisha, تفضلي.
Peace be with you.
تفضلي يا عائشة.
Go ahead. When I arrive to Mecca and I have made ihram in the plane, when I arrive to Mecca and I have made ihram in the plane, I wash for the Umrah. So, alright, so your question is clear. Second question, after finishing the ablution, and if I pray in the haram, can I read the surah secretly in my heart, or shall it be loudly? And the reading loudly or secretly? Can I make fast in the 10 of the Hajj, or is it not allowed? What day you mean? The day 9, the day of Arafah, while being a pilgrim in Tamattu. Thank you. The third question, once you pray in the haram, you read, what you read? I read following the Imam. Shall I just listen to the Imam or read by myself? Alright, so the question is clear. First question, is it clear? Yes, it is. Thank you. We go back to this subject, day of Arafah, and we stopped while talking the khutbah, the speech of Arafah. The Prophet, peace be upon him, and the people of his house went to Namira before the Zawal, and then he slaughtered, he used his naqa, his she-camel, and then he talked to the people with one speech. It was a great speech, a very important speech. He showed the message in the speech, and he showed the worship, and also has shown what is good for the people, for the life of the people. And then, peace be upon him, when he finished his speech, there was the call of the prayer for the noon prayer, and then he prayed Dhuhra 2 inclinations, when then Asr 2 inclinations. The Prophet, peace be upon him, has not prayed in Arafah, but he prayed Dhuhr, Noon, and Asr, and one speech, and to show the roots of this religion. And also he ordered the people, he gave directives, and he has shown the directions for the people. Then he grouped the prayers. Then after that he went to Arafah, peace be upon him, and peace be upon him and the people of the house. And then he went to the mountain, peace be upon him. Then he was directed to the Qibla, and he has also a route where people were using this route to pass through. And he was worshipping, he was mentioning Allah, obeying Allah, peace be upon him, and doing talbiyah, doing tahmid, glorifying Allah, and all praise due to Almighty Allah. And he was raising his hands, peace be upon him, and he was also helping people, he was answering all those who needed help. And also he fasted that day, and Maymuna sent to the Prophet, peace be upon him, sent to him milk, and so he drank that milk, and people were watching him drinking the milk, peace be upon him. So just to show that he was not fasting, and so during the day of Arafah, it is commonly known that it is better not to fast on that day, because this will making things more difficult for you. It's a great day. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, were standing in that place, and Arafah, all Arafah is a standing place in the day of Arafah, and wherever you are located on Arafah, so anyone who is located in that place is to stand in Arafah. It's a standing place, Arafah. So it's to do invocation and to mention Allah and to remember Allah on that day. So the best day is to worship Allah and in that standing place. And the best invocation is the invocation of Arafah, and the best thing to invoke on that day is to say that there are no creator but Allah, Almighty Allah, and Allah can do anything, capable of doing anything, everything, Almighty Allah, and also to glorify Allah. And those are the best thing you can do in your invocation. You can mention in your invocation, and that what has made the Prophet, peace be upon him, is to do glorifying talbiyah and also glorifying Allah, and to say that there are no creator. Allah is the unique creator, Almighty Allah. And so this is the key to paradise. The key to paradise and the key to the success in this life and the hereafter as well. And the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, stayed with him until the Maghrib, and until the end of the day, the real end of the day, and the immediate beginning of the night. And so they stayed, they were obeying, and they were submitting themselves to Almighty Allah in this day, witnessed day. And this is the witnessed day, the day that witnessed the day of the resurrection, the day of Arafah. And when the night entered, the Prophet, peace be upon him, left with his companions to Muzdalifah. And peace be upon him was peacefully submitting himself to Allah with the serenity from Arafah to Muzdalifah. And there was also Osama ibn Zayd behind the Prophet during this journey from Arafah to Muzdalifah, and Ibn Hidda, and they were accompanying the Prophet, peace be upon him, to Muzdalifah. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, was saying to his companions, and was saying to them that you need to be peaceful, you have that peace of mind, this serenity, to remind them that they are in a worshipping state, and they need to be peaceful, and to do not squeeze themselves to walk peacefully, and to arrive without harming any other person, without harming anyone, to travel, to go in this journey. And this is the way that any believer must do talbiyah until he arrives to Muzdalifah, or she arrives to Muzdalifah. So this journey from Arafah to Muzdalifah was at night, was a night journey. And before talking about Muzdalifah and what concerns Muzdalifah from the judgment, I want to remind you that Arafah is a great day that extends to until we reach Arafah, until the dawn of the following day. So those who arrive to Arafah at night, so those are reaching the pilgrimage, the hajj. And those who arrive Arafah on the day, so they must stay on Arafah until the Maghrib, because the Prophet stayed in Arafah until the night of the day. And so you should not leave before Maghrib, otherwise you violate the judgment. So you need to stay until Maghrib. This is the way it should be made. And to avoid harming any other person, harming others. You should not squeeze other people, and because there are crowds, and this way you follow the steps of the Prophet, peace be upon him. So to be good with other people. So what's meant is to stay until Maghrib if you arrive in the day, but if you arrive at night, you need to stay in Arafah. Any hour, any period of time, you stay in Arafah of the night. So the proof of this, the evidence, is the hadith of Umar, is the hadith of a companion, because the Prophet is arrived in Muzdalifah and asked the Prophet about. He told him that he arrived from a mountain, a certain mountain. Then he was tired from the trip, and so he was tired. So he was asking about his pilgrimage after all those efforts, great efforts. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, told him that those who were praying with us in this in Muzdalifah and stand with us, and after that he was standing before the prayer, before he was standing before that in Arafah, any hour, day or night, in this case, so he achieved his pilgrimage, and this show that pilgrimage is accomplished by standing at night. So those who arrive at night, they achieve their pilgrimage. So those who come for a business with campaigns, or so people who have time to do ihram, and also they do their business, and then they ask for the ihram at the end of the day, and they ask, have they achieved their pilgrimage or not? So the answer is yes. Those who arrive in Arafah at any time at night or in the day, so they achieve their pilgrimage, as the Prophet, peace be upon him, said. After that, so now we know the principle and we know the aim in the time of Arafah. So the principle is the dawn or the day of the slaughtering day is to stand in Arafah in the Fajr of the day 10. But those who has not missed, those who missed, they missed their pilgrimage. However, concerning the beginning, the scholars now they agree upon that they need to stand until Zawal, and they stay in Arafah until the Fajr, but the believer must investigate and must inquire that he need to stand after the Zawal to do not be within the doubts concerning his pilgrimage. But you should not leave before Zawal. But those who stayed, they achieved their pilgrimage. So you need to be in a situation that there are no doubts about your pilgrimage. So this is concerning standing in Arafah and what concerns Arafah. And I remind you that it is not lawful to go to the mountain of Hilal, of mountain of mercy, of Rahmah, of mountain of Arafah. So the aim is that the Prophet standeth, but he has no objective to pray in that or to bless the stones, and with the stones to be blessed with. All those is not lawful. You must be avoided by the believer. The Prophet standeth in that place, so those who need to follow the Sunnah and need to stand. Need to stand. Need to follow the steps of the Prophet, peace be upon him, is so they stand wherever it is possible, wherever it is achievable. And so I hope that I made it clear. And now concerning that day, the day of Arafah, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said that serenity is a difficult situation because people were rushing, there are crowds, people are squeezing themselves, and sometimes there are lots of noise in that day. It's a difficult day. So sometimes people become impatient. Can you give a sign or an indication to prepare pilgrims for those moments, difficult moments? Undoubtedly, the day of Arafah it's a difficult day. There are so many efforts and difficult efforts, and believers need to prepare themselves with patience and to do not to stay calm, to stay peaceful, and to give a chance to other peoples to do not harm others, to do not harm themselves and others, and also to remain calm and peaceful and to preserve the serenity, because this serenity will help you to control yourself, to control your sentiments, and to worship, to do not harm others, and to do not be impulsive, and to avoid anything that can make you make wrongdoings in that day, especially in that day. So it's good to manage this difficult situation and the difficulty of this time and the efforts that need to be put in this day. So we need to make things manageable and to do not compromise your pilgrimage and your worship in those moments. So it is important to know that our state, through the Ministry of Pilgrimage and administrations, they have made everything to make pilgrimage easy and manageable for the pilgrims, and they put in place people to help to serve the pilgrims. So sometimes, and to respect the times, the allocated times, to remain organized, to remain disciplined, to remain within the directive of the Ministry of Pilgrimage. So I think this is something important to remember, that many efforts have been put in place and implemented to facilitate, to make pilgrimage easier, and so those are things that need to be known, and because it's better to do not make anything that may compromise the pilgrimage and to harm pilgrimage, especially harming others, because there are crowds, and also for the safety of people, safety and the running pilgrimage in the best way possible. And so pilgrims, they need to be obedient, they respond to the directive, because those directives have been put in place for the benefit, for the interest of pilgrims, and for their safety and security. So I want to emphasize and to put emphasis on those issues, because all pilgrims are doing the same things, the same movements in a narrow space at the same time. So thank you for your words, and after the short break, our dear viewers, we are going to continue our discussion with our guests, so stay with us.
Welcome back, dear viewers, in this last segment of our program, episode Manasik Rituals. And we welcome Dr. Khalid Abdullah al-Muslah, our guest during this program. Welcome, dear Dr. Khalid. Now, dear viewers, we're going to quickly answer, of course, so we're going to answer your questions specifically for regarding this episode. So Dr. Khalid Muhammad from Algeria, she was telling us regarding the tamattu', those performing the hajj or the pilgrimage. Tamattu' does require a sacrifice. Those who want to sacrifice sheep only for his family, so he can of course just sacrifice sheep. So Abdul Wahid from Saudi Arabia is talking that my sister and her daughters, they change into ihram in the miqat, and they saw too much traffic. So after that, when they saw the traffic, they change the cloth of ihram, and because of the traffic. I think this is something easy, so they shouldn't take it off the ihram garment. This is not valid. This is not allowed. And those who started to perform the pilgrimage, they should continue till the end. And this is something obligatory. This is mandatory, because you started the ihram, you change into ihram, so you have to finish the rituals. The traffic, already that there is the traffic always, and this is Mecca. This is Mecca blessed by God, and always we have this traffic. So always we keep on these garments, white garments, and of course you have to continue the rituals. They should go to Mecca and to finish, to accomplish their rituals, and they shouldn't take off the ihram and after that, when the person is saying, like for example, I don't want to continue, or he has to, so he has also to continue, so he shouldn't give it back and always take it off the ihram. I have two phone calls from Azam and from Saudi Arabia. Hello. Azam. Assalamu alaikum. I have a question for the Sheikh. The Sheikh is listening. So I went to perform the pilgrimage 5 years ago, and I didn't the circumambulation, the last circumambulation. Why you didn't? Why? I can't answer. I can't hear you. So, but I will answer your question. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Azam from Masr. I'm Ayman from Masr. Can I speak to Sheikh? I had a question. I'm confused about this question regarding az-zawal. What do you mean about it? Noon, or from noon till the sunset, or the standing in Arafat from the Fajr till the sunset? What do we mean about that? So, do you mean az-zawal? Az-zawal, it's or the Fajr, or for example the sunset? We have Hala from Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum. May God reward you. I have a few questions. So the first question, it's regarding the ihram. For example, if I change into ihram, for example, do we need a second question from the lips, something from the lips? From the second question, if we went to Arafat and we are on the road, and also, and we're afraid that we get to before Salat al-Isha, or the prayer of the Isha. In this case, if we overnight in Mecca. So your question is clear. We're going to answer your question in a while. Stay with us. The last question, the campaign was in Muzdalifah, not in Mina, for the overnight, for the stay. So for the Tashriq days, thank you very much. So your question is clear. We're going to answer your question. We have Muhammad also with us from Iraq, or Muhammad from Iraq. Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing, Sheikh Khalid? I had two questions. The first one, you mean the prostration of tilawah? Okay, the second one, what do we mean about the saying of Yaqub alayhi salam? Thank you very much, Muhammad, for this question. We have Khalid from Algeria. He's asking about the overnight in Muzdalifah. So we're going to talk in details about the overnight in Muzdalifah tomorrow. So this is one of the rituals of the pilgrimage. So the details, you can listen to the details tomorrow. Khalid is saying, so what has to say the muhrim when he performed the rituals? So specifically those who are coming to these blessed shrines or blessed locations, the first thing, and specifically when he changed into the ihram, he should start directly with the talbiyah, make the talbiyah, and the believer should increase the talbiyah, increase also the invocations, and also he has to recite the Quran, the surah, and everything regarding the talbiyah, regarding the invocations, raising his hands and seeking forgiveness, specifically after the ihram, even before the ihram or after the ihram, when he started the circumambulation, the circling, or the sa'i from Marwan Safa. And this is what God also ordered us when we have to do the invocations and the evocations. So this is very important. And he said that you have to always remember and to always make the invocations, dhikr, and to evoke God during all these things. Confirm the importance of making evocations and evocations. Also, Ahmed from Kenya, she was asking about the possibility of covering the face. For the ihram, it's the niqab. Or if there is no hole in the niqab, just the woman, she can cover her face, anything, she can use it just to cover her face, but she can, otherwise she can use also only a niqab with the holes just to look from it. Sajjad is also asking about the validity of the hadith for those who are performing the Umrah. This hadith was repeated by Sahl ibn Hanif and was mentioned also by Usay ibn Dhuhair. There was many repeating those hadith, just watching the prayer in Masjid Quba. So even the hadith was weak, but the hadith is fine, you can follow it. So to perform the prayer in the mosque of Quba, and it's the prayer in Masjid Quba equals the Umrah, but for legitimacy of coming there and after performing the prayer, God said that so you know that the Prophet, peace be upon him, was going to Quba just to perform his prayer, because it's purifying the soul of the believers. Though it's fine, it's valid, it's permissible if anybody wants to go, because it was the first mosque constructed in Islam. Saifuddin from Saudi Arabia, he was asking about the pilgrims from inside the kingdom. And he said that he intended to perform the Umrah and the Hajj, but after that the campaign went directly to Mina. If he couldn't make the Tawaf, the circumambulation or the Sa'i, he can combine the Hajj with the Umrah. And he should initially know that he has to perform the Umrah, but if he made the Umrah, so he can make the Ifrad. He can make the Ifrad of the pilgrimage, performing only the pilgrimage. If he had the possibility to take a car or ride and to go directly, but if he has no time, he has directly to intend that he's going to perform the pilgrimage. So about the hadi, the udhiyah, the sacrifice, the sheep. Saada from Lebanon, she was asking about the difference between the rituals and the rules, or let's say the pillars. So Sha'air al-Hajj, the shrines, like for example, God asked to glorify these locations, these places, like the Biqa, which help us also. Those are the locations which help us to approach God and to start our sacrifice. But the rituals, it's the deeds, the ritual that we have to do. There is a small difference between the sha'air wal manasik. Al manasik is from the sha'air, the rituals is from the sha'air. It's something that can combine everything, like everything glorified by God, about the location, the humans, the believers, and everything on in these locations. From the sha'air Allah in the pilgrimage, like for example a tawaf, it's one of the sha'air Allah. So the sha'air Allah, it's to approach God with the sheep and sacrificing. So there is intersection between a sha'air and between, but the sha'air are more extended. We're talking here about all the Islam. Al-Ashhur al-Humr are sha'air, so it has nothing to do with the Hajj. So we can't legitimate sha'air also, and without this, and the haram has nothing to do with the Hajj, but we have to glorify the sha'air. And for the pilgrims, شعائر Allah, for example, we shouldn't hunt during in this location because it's a place for worshipping, to worship God. الشعائر and the rituals, there is an intersection. All the rituals are for the sha'air, but not for the sha'air, for the manasik. Aisha, she was asking about that they change into ihram on their way to Mecca, and when they get to Mecca, she's asking if she can wash. The sunnah is they have to wash, they have to purify themselves when they get to Mecca. So if they need a time for that, so the first time when the Prophet came to Haram, so he was in Abi Tuwa, inside the Haram, inside the shrines, and was repeated and mentioned by Abdullah ibn Umar, and he came, so he washed himself. So this is legitimate, and you have to wash yourself first. But those who are washing themselves inside in ihram, or if they have only 1 hour, so because you know that there is a sweat and there is fatigue and everything, but they need to wash themselves. So do we need also to, for example, to wash ourselves from the dirt, like from the dirt? But if there was nothing, so God saying that, God said that just to wash your face and your hands and also your arms. So, and there is also the prayer, or the prayer orally, so the fasting during Arafah and for the pilgrimage. But if she fasted, so it's valid. Azza from Saudi Arabia, she was asking that when she went to the pilgrimage season during the Hajj, and she didn't make the tawaf. But if she didn't know that, this is valid. But so now the zawal, the question, zawal, it has nothing to do with the Arafah. It's a time. It's a time. Zawal, which means the noon. So when the sun goes from the east to the west, it has nothing to do between the sunset or the sunrise. This is a zawal. He told them to perform the prayer when the sun inclines. What we mean inclines from the east to the west. This is the prayer of the Dhuhr. Zawal, we mean about it, Salat al-Dhuhr, the prayer of the Salat al-Dhuhr. And about her question during Arafat, so we agreed on this. So it's starting from the sunset, the sunrise, and so standing starts after the prayer of Salat al-Dhuhr, or and for the Hanbali, they said that it started from the sunset or the Fajr, and continues till Tulu' al-Fajr the second day. Hala from Saudi Arabia, she was asking about how to, for example, if there is something in the skin and just to remove it, or if he needs it, if this will not harm him, but it's seeking for something just to do it, so he shouldn't. And he's talking about the nafra. The nafra, we're going to talk about these details, specifically when we talk about the night and overnight in Muzdalifah. And for the Muslim during, so he should pray on time. I recommend this, and this is very important. Certain persons, they don't do that, so sometimes they skip the time of the prayer, so they have to be aware, to acknowledge, to be aware that they need to pray on time. Certain person, they're saying that I couldn't do that. God said that you have to maintain the prayers, the time of the prayers. This is what God said. So we have to maintain, to preserve the time. So you have to perform the prayer on time. You have to perform even the mid-prayer. Those who are in the buses, specifically going from Muzdalifah, and sometimes they're afraid to do not be on time so they can pray all together in congregation. If they can't perform, they can shorten the prayer, so they have to perform their prayers. There is only one question, but you know that this is the time to finish the program. I thank you for your answers, dear Sheikh. Thank you very much, dear viewers, for following us during this episode of Rituals, and we're very glad if you visit our website www.manasik.com, and we're very glad to receive your calls. We have another meeting tomorrow with the Sheikh and with you. The program will start at 9 p.m. Until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.